Now that the NBA Finals are in the books, we can finally ask this question. Are you ready for some football? Starting next week, Our Nation Sports Show has you covered for the upcoming 2021 NFL regular season. Because starting next week, Our Nation Sports Show starts its previews for this year's regular season as we dive into the NFC, starting with the NFC North and the NFC South. And this week in the NFL, training camp has opened up for all 32 teams. And the big story coming out of this week in training camp, what I'm about to tell you, it is not a lie. No, it is the truth. And I guess you can say hell has frozen over because Aaron Rodgers has finally decided to show up to training camp for Green Bay. And breaking news in the NFL this week as Randall Cob has decided to rejoin Green Bay. How will that affect Green Bay this year in their regular season campaign? Can Aaron Rodgers lead Green Bay to another NFC North title? The nation speaks to you. Next. From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sports. Members of the nation bring to you Our Nation Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Ezra Vicker and Stephen Wyand.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Bruce Bufford, money's in the mail. Welcome to Our Nation.
Tremendous.
Okay, going off the rails already. We're not even 30 seconds in, as usual. But welcome to Our Nation Sports Show, everybody. We are live once again here in another beautiful Thursday. Let's get the specifics out of the way, of course, the ways you can join us. You can join us on our social media platforms. You can find us at, I believe, Stephen, what is the Twitter handle, if you don't mind?
It would be at ON_sports show.
Absolutely. That is our Twitter handle. You can also search Our Nation Sports Show on Facebook as well. The other way you can get to interact with us as well is, of course, the show being live on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search Our Nation Sports Show in the search bar, and you can subscribe to our page. Please like our videos, watch them, and of course, share them with your friends. We want to get to 100 subscribers so we can get our own custom URL. That way, it'll be a lot easier to find for not only you guys, but for us too when we're in a pinch. But and then the final way is, of course, Discord. Follow us on the Discord channel. You can find the Our Nation Sports Show text channel as well. Go on there. If you have a comment or a question that you want to hit us with, you can hit us with there. We'll read it. Or if you even want to, quote unquote, call it, you can join us on the voice channel, and we will get you on the show, and you can talk to us about anything you want in the world of sports. But enough of my yap and enough about the specifics of the show. I do this every week, but let's get to my cohorts for this week. Of course, with me every damn week. Sometimes I wish he wasn't. No, I'm kidding. This dude is my, as I always call him, my heavy metal brother from another mother, from North Kakalaki. You just got back from an awesome AEW Dynamite last night, which I'm pretty sure he'll probably discuss on the Nation's Corner later this week. It's my buddy Stephen Wyand. Stephen, how you doing, brother?
Man, after last night being in Charlotte and that crowd for Dynamite last night, man, I am fired up to talk sports with everybody because, like I said in that intro, starting next week, we start our previews. Yes, the NFL is back, baby. And next week, we start previewing the NFC North and the NFC South. And we have an action-packed show for all of you guys out there. So let's go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And joining us this week is our rotating third, shall we say. This guy has been on the show before. He's the second greatest thing to have his name outside, the first being, of course, the potted plant that sat next to Dean Ambrose on the Ambrose Asylum. That being Mitch, Bo Sox fan. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Just another week in paradise down here in sunny Florida, fighting off meth gators in Florida, man. Actually had a Bigfoot sighting here in Florida about middle of last week, so we're dealing with that again, and just how it is, just enjoying the sports world. A lot of excitement's going on, crazy stuff here left and right, and you never know who's going to decide to fight who and who's going to trade to who and who's going to sell out who next. So it's always fun in the sports world.
Absolutely, and we're going to get into that in just a brief second. Actually, we're going to kick it off right now. And we're going to kick it off with the NFL. What else could we start with? And it's our weekly thing to make Steven burst a blood vessel in his head. And how we do that is with the talk of none other than Aaron Rodgers. And that is that Aaron Rodgers, as many of you know, past a couple months, has announced that he was not going to come back to Green Bay because of the issues between him and the Green Bay Packers organization and management. However, things have taken a turn for the other direction because now Aaron has agreed to basically a 1 season extension with conditions. And so he reported at training camp last week, but one of those conditions is what was mentioned in the intro by our own Steven, and that is that it is the return of one of his favorite targets, Randall Cob. Randall Cob was in Texas for a while, and then Texas traded him back, with Houston taking care of some of the rest of his contract as part of the negotiating deal. But he is back, and he's back catching for Aaron Rodgers. So the question is, now with Aaron Rodgers back in the fold for this season, what does this mean not only for the NFC North division, but what does it mean now for the entire NFL as a whole? And of course, what do you think of the whole situation in general about Rodgers and working out this deal for 1 season? Steven, I'm going to kick it off with you. The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, so finally, after months and months and months have passed, he finally shows up to training camp. Good job, Mr. Rodgers. Finally, but he shows up because on one condition. I want one of my favorite targets to return to Green Bay. That is the only time that I will show up to Green Bay. If I have one of my favorite toys that I can play around with because I'm so familiar with the way he plays. Really? You come back only to Green Bay because you wanted one of your favorite targets that is still playing in the NFL, Randall Cob, to come back to Green Bay. Yeah, Jordan Nelson's already retired. Greg Jennings is done with the NFL. Donald Driver's done with the NFL. But that's the only remaining basically target that he has had for basically over a decade, basically, all those years with Green Bay, is Cobb. And they built a chemistry together. And he also did with Adams. Well, what bothers me with Rodgers, you build the chemistry with those two guys, and it seems to me he doesn't care to build chemistry with his other guys because he's not familiar with these guys. Dude, give me a break. I mean, you've been building this up. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to come back. And he finally shows up because he wanted to make that decision. He wanted to get one of his favorite targets back on the team. And he did. He convinced Cobb to come back. And, I mean, it's not a bad move for Green Bay because they need that target to play with Adams on the outside. Because now that they have Cobb on the opposite side of Adams, that's going to stretch the field. But this is my problem. Aaron Rodgers has been a diva this offseason, and I understand to a certain degree why Rodgers has been acting in certain ways when it comes to we keep beating this like a dead horse because he wanted to have say in some of the stuff that was going on in the league as far as with the team. He wanted to be sure that they had the right pieces around him, like the receivers and all the other stuff, tight ends, running backs, all that stuff. Well, you're not the owner. You're not the owner of the football team. You're not the general manager, and you're not the majority owner of this football club. They are. You're not. You're the player. And I don't know. Thank God he finally showed up. I mean, it's been aggravating as hell that, seeing him in the press conferences and he's, oh, I don't know if I'm going to show up. And he finally, this was the problem the whole entire time. Maybe he should have said something to begin with early on before all this bullshit was going on. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, and he finally shows up because he wanted to have one of his weapons back. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just, they should be pretty good this year having Cobb back there. I mean, who knows? Mitch, what about you? What do you think of this?
I've never seen somebody fight this hard to be the second best quarterback in the league.
I know.
I'm sorry. I mean, and like some of the concessions in the new contract is it voids the final year 2023. So now 2022 is the final year in this contract. It also forfeiture provisions were removed, preventing the Packers from pursuing any prorated portions of Rodgers' signing bonus. So like the $5.7 million he got in 2019, now they can't go and ask for any of that back if he decides not to come back.
What a
So, I think a lot of this was he wanted to get one last year shaved off of his contract. So that way he can play one more year, maybe two, if he decides to. And if he doesn't want to play next year, he's not going to lose any money. This was a glorified way to make sure that he could play for second place and decide to walk away and keep all his money.
Second place. So does he want to be the first loser yet again this year?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll be honest with you. If I was any other player on the Packers other than Randall Cobb, you better hope to God I'm not blocking for you, Aaron Rodgers. Because I want you injured the first game of the season so I can get a quarterback who cares about the team in there.
This is ridiculous. I mean, I have never seen a quarterback.
Well, imagine this. So the Packers make this trade for Randall Cobb to satisfy Aaron Rodgers. They give him all they want. He goes out there. The first snap, he snaps his knee in half and he's out for the season.
Karma.
Honestly, if I had been the GM at the Packers, I'd have been like, bye. Give me the best deal for him.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's another Brett Favre situation.
But to me, this is worse than Favre.
Well, yeah, Favre was honest at least. He wanted to go somewhere else so he could beat Green Bay and have the record of beating every team in the NFL.
Right. Exactly.
He was straight up honest about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, and literally, like I said, when I started this conversation, it's like I've never seen somebody do this much to be the second place quarterback. Because he's not coming back. He ain't got nothing to challenge Brady and the Bucks.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm a Buccaneers fan, yes, but just looking at that team, that entire Buccaneers roster is back from last year, and they are stacked. So, I mean, not to say that they've got a cakewalk back to the Super Bowl, because there are teams out there that are looking damn good to challenge them. Yep. But Green Bay is not on that list.
The conference in the NFC this year is loaded, and it's not Green Bay. So I'm so tired of Rodgers being the way that he has been this year, after they had a golden opportunity back in January to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl against Kansas City in February. But no, that game still irks me to this very day. The fact that he's blaming the coach, back in January when they lost the game. You are the star quarterback of that football team. You have the power. You have the option to call an audible. And he didn't, because he didn't. And he didn't want to be responsible for taking the loss. A great player takes responsibility in wins and defeats.
What's that classic line from The Replacements? A great quarterback always wants the ball when the game's on the line.
Correct.
And I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers, while yes, he is one of the probably best quarterbacks to play the game in recent history, he will always be remembered as the guy who wouldn't go that extra mile.
No, because Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago in the Super Bowl against San Francisco, he saw the way the game was going in that fourth quarter. And he was like, hey, 3rd and 15, right? Yeah. Have you ran a wasp yet? No. Hey, I don't care what down and distance it is. I will run a wasp. Mm-hmm. Are you sure? Yeah. And then they were fixing to break the huddle. It was like, no. We're calling this play. He called the play Wasp. He said, get down the field and work on the guy. And boom, a great player at that age, 24 years old at the time, not even 25. He's making big boy moves. When has Aaron Rodgers made moves like that? With the exception of having those freaking Hail Marys all the time.
Yeah. And the thing is if he had not had the receiving core that he had, those comebacks that he's famous for would have never materialized.
Never.
If he had not had guys like Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb and the other receiving core that he's had over the years, because they're the ones that got in a position and made the catches. Yes, he threw the ball up there, but if the guy can't make a catch, it doesn't count for shit.
Nope. And having a great receiving core, it's not just having a great quarterback, but you can have B-level receivers, but you have to play with these guys in the off season and train with them and practice with them to get familiar with them. Why do you think Tom Brady in 2006 was one play away from going to his 4th Super Bowl in 5 years? Because he trained with those guys. He had a bunch of guys on that football team that were nobodies, and he was one throw away from going to the Super Bowl yet again against the Colts that year and going to face Chicago in that Super Bowl.
Why do you think he went to Tampa Bay and said, you guys want to win a Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
And just took a team that nobody gave any credit to.
Nope.
And just took
exactly.
put them on his back and they rode. And
exactly.
the thing, and it's not so much that Brady's the man that did it, but he inspired everyone around him with his work ethic.
And as much as I hate Tom Brady is a leader.
Yep.
Tom Brady is a winner. Tom Brady is a guy that you can go to and say, hey, Tom, we need this play. Can you believe in us? Oh, and he's always on the sideline. Come on, guys, let's go. Championship drive here. Let's go. Patrick Mahomes, same thing in 2019 in the Super Bowl. Come on, guys. Championship drive. Let's make history. Let's do good things. When is Rodgers?
And like I said, not to take anything away from Aaron, because he has made some great plays and he has led some epic comeback, drives and everything. I just don't think he's as good as his mind is telling him he is to make these kind of demands.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing is that we preach this throughout the entire NBA Finals. We preach this throughout this every type of sport that we've talked about on this show since I've joined, and that is that you cannot build a team around one player in particular. Exactly. You can't build the Lakers around LeBron James.
No.
You can't build the Cubs around Chris Bryant.
No.
You can't build freaking Green Bay on just Aaron Rodgers alone. You have to have a great offensive line. You got to have great blockers. You got to have a great receiving core. You got to have a great running back core. You got to have great guys. You have to have a great defense to allow your offense to rest and get time to recoup. Sadly, they could be out there at their peak performance. And that's the thing. Aaron is not training with these guys. He's not out there coaching them, teaching them on how to be a great receiver, on the routes they go. It's a bunch of different details that he's not teaching them. And I don't want this to be an Aaron Rodgers dissertation. In a sense, look, we think Aaron Rodgers is an elite quarterback, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. But with the way he's been acting, with the way he's acted in the past, we've seen in his losses how he'll just sit there and he'll just mope and not talk to anybody and shelter himself up from everybody else. Yeah. I've seen it in so many games watching Aaron Rodgers play, whether it was against the Bears, whether it was against other teams in conference games,
Niners.
Super Bowls, the Niners. He is a diva. He is a drama queen. But when you don't take the time and the effort to put in to those young players, those players that are not playing their best, to try and coach them up, then what's the point of being there? You're not doing nothing to help. You're not doing nothing to help your team.
Here's my biggest thing is the way it was handled was 100% wrong. He made it a media spectacle.
He sure did.
Instead of sitting down with the management at Green Bay and saying, this is what I want. This is where I'm at in my career. This is what I feel I need to be able to continue and play the game comfortably. Instead, he makes this spectacle, all these press conferences and these interviews and everything like that. And it's like, okay, so instead of sitting down and having discussions with the management and actually working this out, instead you're playing golf with Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau or hosting Jeopardy.
Right. And we're talking about, moping at their losses. Patrick Mahomes got the living hell pounded out of him in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay this year. That dude was not up there going, oh, da, 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 da. No, he was up there being a man, win, losing, or whatever.
Yeah, Mahomes, the day after the Super Bowl, Mahomes said, time to hit the training room.
Exactly.
His poise at a player at his age, with his skill level is unreal.
Like, I have no doubt in my mind he'll break Brady's record for the most Super Bowl wins as long as he stays healthy.
I think so too. I think that's going to be the key thing with him. And I don't want to get too far off the Rodgers discussion, even though we are including Mahomes in this, is that he's, Patrick Mahomes to me, because of the way he is, he's a likable guy because of his poise, the way he is in tough situations. He's not out there breaking tablets and throwing stuff and staying away from his team. He's out there. He's like, all right, guys, we got to do better next time. Okay, let's hit the gym. Let's go on the practice field. Let's run these plays. Let's try to get better. Let's review tape. Let's do this. Let's do that. That's a leader. That's a guy who wants to have his team win. But when Aaron's out there making a media spectacle out of this, he says, oh, well, I wish it hadn't come out. Dude, you're the one who's doing all these press conferences and all this stuff, putting it out there for the world to hear. You couldn't sit down for an hour or two with management, be like, okay, these are my grievances. Okay, I did not like the way that you guys, handled getting a coach without, not at least having allow me to have some sort of input into the decision. Like even just saying, hey, maybe this guy doesn't fit, but how about this guy? Same thing with the quarterback situation. That's the same thing. If he would have just done that and done it the right way and went through the right process, I don't think we would be talking about this. I think Aaron would be heading into his 17th season. I think he would be going out in a blaze of glory as one of the greatest of all time, like he should be. And he is. But he's ruining his own personal legacy by acting the way he's acting and making this a big ass spectacle when he could have just done it in the most respectful way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's also like you see quarterbacks like this who are, I want this, so I have this amount of money and I need this money and I need this and I don't want to lose out on this money. And then you see other quarterbacks who are stepping up and giving parts of their salary back to make their team more competitive. So it's like, I just don't understand it. Yeah. And I mean, I have never been in a position of, having to negotiate over millions of dollars like he does, and having to, consider all that. But I think it could have been handled in a much, much, much better way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to quickly get real quick before we get into we're going to stay in the football talk, but we're going to talk a little bit of breaking news on the college football spectrum in just a second. I know, Mitch, you mentioned this before we went live, but I want to get into, of course, Randall Cob being back. With Randall Cob being back, even if it's just for one season in Green Bay, he's been around for a long, long time. Unfortunately, I haven't really been keeping up with Randall Cob as of late and his numbers. So I don't know exactly what he's like, but he's got to be up there in age. And I personally don't think while he is a threat still, I don't think he's going to be that much of a threat to any team because, as you know, when it comes to being that running back or not running back, wide receiver and being that burst kind of player, when injuries add up and all that, you start to slow down. I'm wondering what this is. I'm wondering how long do you think, as far as Randall Cob goes, do you think he'll be as effective as he was in the past?
No, absolutely not. I mean, is he a threat? Yes.
I think he's going to. I think at best he is going to be the number 2 receiver on an opposing team scouting report.
Yeah.
At best.
All right.
I think with the injuries that he's had and everything like that, I mean, and the only reason he's going to be the number 2 scouted receiver on the scouting report is because he's such a favorite target of Aaron Rodgers. Everybody knows that that's where Aaron is going to want to just dump it to. I personally think that Aaron needs to find him a good tight end, just like Brady did with Gronkowski. So that way he has that escape route. And that's what we all know that's what Brady excelled at, was having that one little receiver just where he needed them.
And like Kelsey is with them.
Yeah, exactly. Mahomes and Kelsey, exactly.
Absolutely. I actually just looked up Randall Cobb's numbers for the past since 2014. His numbers have steadily decreased. His last year in Houston last year, he only had 38 receptions for 444 yards with 11.6 yards per catch.
Yeah.
Which is compared to in 2014, which is a 7-year difference, where he had 91 catches for 1,287 yards. With his longest being with 12 touchdowns being his highest touchdowns per season. So I don't think he'll be as effective as he once was. No. I mean, yeah, he'll be dangerous, but he won't be as dangerous as some of the elite receivers like on Tampa Bay, like in Kansas City. You know, we're those guys. Woohoo! Watch out, man.
I'll tell you right now, he's not on my scouting report for my fantasy football team.
No. I know we're over a month away from the season starting, but this is a hot take right now. September 12th, week 1, New Orleans is defeating Green Bay. Mark it down.
Ooh.
Who's New Orleans got as their quarterback now? Is it Cam Newton?
No,
he's in New England. That's right.
And then he's going to the Giants.
New Orleans got Jameis Winston, didn't they?
Oh dear God. Well, I think I'm gonna have to rescind that one. Damn it.
Man, it all depends. If they bet crab legs, Jameis might step up.
Oh dear God. No. And as soon as you said Jameis, nope, sorry. Nope, not happening. Not a chance in hell.
Yep, they got Jameis Winston and also Trevor Siemian as well.
Yeah.
Oh dear God.
But we're gonna take a little break from the NFL and we're gonna go to some college football news. Why not? Let's hit that shit.
Oh Lord.
Yep. The SEC has unanimously voted to bring in Texas and Oklahoma into the conference. It'll set off widespread conference realignment. Texas and Oklahoma will meet tomorrow to formally accept the invitations. This is going to be crazy. It's two of the most valuable teams in the Big 12's conference in that conference to play for the SEC now. How is this going to turn out for college football?
Here's the question I have is who goes to what division in the SEC? Is Oklahoma going to be in the West and Texas in the East or vice versa? Because how that plays out determines if you're going to see teams like Alabama and Oklahoma for the SEC championship or, Texas versus Texas A&M. I mean, you could have all kind of matchups go crazy. And I'm sorry, this is more confirming. I mean, what's the Big 12 now going to be, like the Big 6.5? I mean, it's like, I was thinking, like I said, who's going to replace Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12 that they decide to bring teams in? And like the best options you see are like UCF, USF, maybe Utah, teams like that. And it's like the Big 12 is going to lose all credibility as a powerhouse conference.
Yeah, because you're taking two powerhouse teams that have been absolutely dominant in the Big 12. And you're putting them in this conference with killers like Alabama, like Texas A&M. It's gonna be insane. Yeah, dude, you're looking at some insane matchups. It's gonna be absolutely incredible to watch. I'm not the biggest college football fan. I do watch it from time to time, but especially after this now, I'm definitely going to be watching this upcoming season to see how this all plays out, because you're looking at Texas. If you're looking at Oklahoma versus Alabama, holy shit, that is going to be a hell of a matchup, in my opinion.
Well,
Dude.
I mean, you think about it, SEC, let's see here. There are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this is going to be 16 teams in the SEC.
Yeah.
So here's my question. If these conferences keep expanding like they are, does that mean we're going to see an expansion of the college football season? Are they going to have to add weeks so that way you can actually have a full round robin play in your divisions?
I think that would be the smart move to make, I think, because of how advanced the conferences are getting, as we just saw today with this Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC. I think they need to expand a few more games to really, really allow everybody to play everybody and to allow some great matchups to happen. Because if you don't, because if you don't extend it out, you might miss some key matchups that would bring in not only be great for the sport itself, but also it would bring in ratings.
Well, it's either you're going to have to add games to the schedule or you're going to have to give up some of your non-conference matchups.
Absolutely.
And we all know those non-conference matchups are money makers.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. You don't want to give those up.
So. No, because those are big money makers, not only for the conference and college football itself, but also for the television stations that are playing these games, because they bring in ratings and revenue for that said television station, whether it be ABC, CBS, whoever owns it at this time.
Okay, well, you look at it. Okay, Florida, Georgia is probably one of the biggest rivalry games in all of college football. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party, the battle at the river, whatever nickname you want to throw at it. Can you now imagine the SEC owning the two of the biggest rivalries with Florida versus Georgia and the Red River rivalry with Oklahoma and Texas?
It'll happen.
Rivalry week is going to be SEC week.
Exactly.
Because you got Alabama and Auburn. I mean, yeah, that's three. That's three rivalries they're going to have now.
Right. And it's like everybody over the years was saying, "Oh, I'm so sick and tired of the SEC winning the championships." Well, like we were saying with the Patriots when they had Brady and Belichick at the helm all those years. If you want the best to lose, build your team better and beat them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Clemson and the ACC has had a pretty good run here lately, but now that Trevor Roberts is gone, what's that going to work out to? But I agree with one of the things that was said in the chat there is get rid of the cupcake games. I'm sick and tired of having the squash games. You're playing, Appalachian State and Eastern Carolina. Now,
but nobody cares about those games.
Right, exactly. I would much rather see Florida play Oklahoma than Florida play FIU.
Right. No,
I'm 100% agree with that. But they do make a lot of money for the school that's getting their ass kicked. And that's the big downside.
I get that, but seriously. That's like saying, "Oh, we're going to put Alabama versus this school that's further down." Nobody's going to watch that because they know what's going to happen.
It's like Alabama versus Troy.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think this is further setting up the whole, we're getting closer to having like 4 major conferences of like 20 plus teams instead of 18 conferences like we've had for so long.
It's too much to process.
But could you imagine, look at the teams that are in the SEC. If they do expand to an 8-team playoff, can you imagine if the SEC had all 8 teams in the top 8?
I could see that happening.
I mean, you figure Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida, LSU, Tennessee, if they get their head out of their ass, Texas, if they, Missouri, You know, I'm not going to mention Vanderbilt or South Carolina, but
But
Yeah,
predominantly SEC being in the championship stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that happens. It's not surprising because the
No.
SEC has the best conference in college football.
no,
especially now with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma, it is basically a murderer's row of teams that could dominate over the next few years, especially if the Big 12 doesn't figure out a way to build teams that are going to be able to take that title back to their conference.
Yeah.
And I know
because
Clemson has had
SEC
some
with
good
the
teams over the years. I
yeah,
mean,
because with the teams they have now, and especially when you add two powerhouse conferences, they got a death grip on that national championship, and they're not going to let go.
Yeah, I mean, and the recruiting just got made a million times easier for any team in the SEC.
Yep.
Because here's the thing: if you want a shot to play for a national title, you need to go to an SEC school.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Simple. Very simple.
Yes, absolutely. Couple quick news updates, real quick before we move on. Jets quarterback Zach Wilson has agreed to terms on his rookie deal after a brief absence from training camp. So, it says right here he was signed his rookie contract after the 49ers inked his deal after 49ers inked Trey Lance's deal on Wednesday.
Yeah.
He will receive a $35.1 million on the deal with a $22.9 million signing bonus. So
I wish I had those kind of problems.
I know. He will get that, but he will get the bonus within 15 days.
I wish I only had to wait 15 days to get a couple $1 million. Good Lord. It's crazy how much money these kids are getting right out of college now. I mean, don't get me wrong, they deserve, well, I won't say they deserve every dime of it because I think it has gotten a little inflated. But, they've earned what they're getting for dang sure because they're, being the best at what they do. However, I just could not imagine being 22, 23 years old and looking at my bank account and having $50 million sitting in my bank account.
Like, what the hell do I do with this? I don't know what to do.
Yeah, definitely. One other quick thing is that earlier today, Dak Prescott suffered a slight shoulder strain during practice today. However, according to Coach Mike McCarthy, it will not be a major setback for Dak as he's going to be limited in practice going forward until that shoulder heals up.
Can they get this man a walker?
Man, he can't catch a break.
He is so snake bit. I would demand a trade out of Dallas just to see if they were bad luck.
It seems like every Dallas quarterback, like Tony Romo and now Dak Prescott, especially in the last 15 years, they have had these crucial injuries that ended their season. I mean, like in 2010, when Tony Romo had that collarbone issue and injured his collarbone against the Giants, that was the death sentence for Dallas that year. After they made the playoffs the previous year, Dak Prescott was having a great year the previous year. He was throwing the ball all around the field, and then boom, collarbone issue. Sorry, done.
And that ankle injury.
Yep. And the ankle issue. Yep.
That a lot of people never thought he was coming back from.
Right.
I mean, that was bad.
I mean, Dak Prescott just can't catch a break. He just cannot catch a break in Dallas.
Credit to being a tough son of a bitch and coming back from it all, right. But damn, I'd try to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Like one of the comments in our chat, we were talking about this before the show about how much these kids are getting in college now that the name, image, and likeness rules have changed for the NCAA. We were talking about the quarterback at Alabama, a sophomore, has never played a down of football for the University of Alabama and has already made $800,000 in name, image, and likeness deals.
That's what happens when you make all that.
As a sophomore in college, has $1 million almost in his bank account.
And has not played a single down.
Not played a. He could literally never play a down and already made $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell, I wish I could do that.
Yeah. No shit.
I mean, my God.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Sit behind.
Where's that time machine? I'm going back to college. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, if I went back to college, I'd have more hair, but I digress. But
I'd be about 40 pounds lighter.
I'd be about probably 80 pounds lighter. But I once again digress.
Yes.
With this though, I think the reason why so many Dallas Cowboy players get injured is because they're playing in Dallas to begin with. Sorry, Tony.
Sorry, Tony. We know that's your football team. Good sir.
Yeah. Sorry to the greatest truck driver of all time, but we have to dish your Cowboys.
Yeah,
Mainly because the only time there's a touchdown in Dallas is when a tornado hits it.
That's their own justice.
Best thing to ever happen to that new stadium was WrestleMania.
Ah! And that's the best thing that's going to happen to them.
I'll be honest with you, that's the happiest fans that have ever been in that stadium was WrestleMania.
Damn.
Well,
sorry.
Well, with the exception of the main event when Roman Reigns took on Triple H and that.
Well, but still.
That's the nation's court. That's the nation's circle. We're not going into that one.
Yeah, we're not going to that.
No, but we are actually going to move on to some basketball news, and we're going to start off with the biggest news, and that is that the Lakers are moving currently towards a deal to getting Russell Westbrook from the Wizards in exchange for Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and a 2021 draft pick. That's according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The question I have for you, and this is the biggest question: are the Lakers doing what Brooklyn is doing and trying to build a super team? And the biggest question of it all is, with Russell being older, I mean, he's still playing at an elite level. Do not get me wrong. The man is breaking triple-double records like it's nobody's business. But is he going to be with this team? Is he going to gel well with LeBron and company? And B, is he going to be as effective being that it's a new team, and also he's at an advanced stage and has a certain system that he goes by?
Well, I don't think it's going to go so well for Westbrook in Los Angeles because he has the tendency to be a ball hog.
Oh yeah, let me think about that. Yeah, he's putting up 40-point triple doubles every fucking night. You know.
Yes.
So.
How many times is it going to be? Who do we need to bring in to make LeBron better before people realize LeBron is not what they think he is? Every time you turn around, LeBron's on a team and they falter a little bit. It's we got to bring somebody else in to help build LeBron up, help LeBron out. If LeBron is this great second coming that everybody thinks he is, why does he need all this help? I understand it takes a team to win, but the thing about Michael Jordan was he made the players around him better.
Exactly.
The players around him made him better.
That's what we saw with teams like the Phoenix Suns. That's what we saw teams with the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes, the Bucks had Giannis. Yes, they had Chris Middleton. Yes, they had this person, but it was a team effort, and they made each other better by playing great games together. By having these great performances with even scoring and sharing the ball and, working together, it shows that it does work. You don't have to rely on one singular superstar to win it.
Right.
That's part of the reason I think that was Brooklyn's demise, because they relied on Durant too much. And I hope that's the same thing with LeBron. They rely on LeBron too much, hence why he suffers injuries, hence why he doesn't play as much. But then again, another Aaron Rodgers, but I digress. But with LeBron in his, you can't, again, it's the same thing we talked about with the NFL. You can't rely on a single player. And Russell Westbrook, yes, he could be a ball hog. And that's something that he's going to have to learn to control with LeBron, because LeBron himself wants to steal the show as well.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they clash when they get on the court together. There's a difference between playing on an Olympic team together or playing in like that type of scramble stuff versus playing in a team trying to win a freaking title together.
Right. And it's like to me now, as far as LeBron goes, to me, his better teams were the 2016 Cavaliers and the 2013 Miami Heat, because those two teams had some players around him that made that team even better. Was LeBron talented those years? Absolutely. But at the same time, you can't just rely on one player. This is why the Lakers won the championship in 2020, because they had players that believed in the system that they were playing around. And that's the problem with the Lakers right now. Just because they hit a bad spot in the playoffs last year, the LeBron and, and company struggled this year because Anthony Davis went down with his injury and all that stuff.
And then they relied on LeBron too much again. And you see, that's the thing, that they relied on Anthony Davis as well, too, when he went down. And I will keep preaching this to the end of the earth, is that you can't rely on one player. No. With Russell Westbrook, he is still one of the elite players in the entire NBA. There's no shadow of a doubt. The guy's a scoring machine. He's good in the pick and roll. He can shoot from three. He's got everything you need to be an elite player. Like I said, the main question is, can he coexist with a guy who is very similar to him in LeBron James? Is that, and Anthony Davis as well? If you think about it, it's three superstars, all of them with three big personalities. The question is, can they coexist?
Well, I mean, you had the coexistence of LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh down in Miami. So I mean, it is possible. However, I mean, there have been reports that they've even thought about getting rid of Anthony Davis to try to bring in players to build up LeBron. And I'm sorry, I'd get rid of LeBron before I got rid of Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis got heart.
Absolutely, Anthony Davis is the type of player that'll go out there, injury, no injury. He'll go out there, he'll play to every minute. He won't leave 6 minutes before a game like LeBron did. I keep bringing it up as a joke and as a serious thing because it's something that we've talked about. It's a very disrespectful thing to walk away from your team 6 minutes because you know you're going to lose. You stick with your team till the very last minute, till the buzzer sounds and everybody walks out of the stadium. It's like when Axl Rose. Oh, I hate to bring it to music on, even though we are going to do a little bit of a little break on sports here in a second. It's like when Axl Rose would leave the stage whenever he got mad, like Guns N' Roses shows back in the 90s. Yep. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. When the fans have paid their hard-earned dollar to see you, and then you walk away, even though, yes, it might be blowouts, it might be losses, and you might, the game is over. You can't go back to the locker room, sit in the locker room, and watch your team.
6 minutes.
That's ridiculous.
Well, and it's like even Giannis said this. He doesn't understand all these players leaving to form these super teams instead of staying loyal to the city that drafted them.
Right.
And he said he wasn't leaving Milwaukee until he won the championship. And then what's he do as soon as, almost immediately after they win the championship? Didn't he just sign a contract extension?
Yes, he did.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's he's like, I'm happy where I'm at, Hell
yeah, me too. He's got a great system around him, a great basketball team. Yeah. And I know people were going, they were kind of lucky to get past Brooklyn. No, not really, because in that game 7, when Kevin Durant scored 48 points and they had nobody stepping up, James Harden passed the baton to Durant because he didn't want to be responsible if they lost that game. You can't just rely on one single player to win you a game. It's a complete team effort to win a game in a series. And that's the problem because, Antetokounmpo has a complete team around him with Holiday, with Middleton, all of these guys. They're all together, they're a cohesive unit. Yes, they can coexist because they are a team.
And the one thing I want to stress about, LeBron real quick before, and we talk about coexisting and really leaving a mark and trying to be there for your team till the very end. And before I get one more little comment on Westbrook too, is if you take a look at what LeBron does. And that is, it's a kind of a trend that I've seen personally, and that is that when LeBron doesn't win a championship or gets to the finals and loses, What does he do? He leaves.
Exactly.
He goes to another team. He did that when Cleveland wouldn't win the title. Where did he go? He went to Miami. When Miami stopped winning titles, where did he go? To Cleveland.
Back to Cleveland.
When Cleveland finally won their championship, he stayed one more year, then left when they didn't make it to the championship again, and went to LA. Why? Because of a super team. And that's another thing. Super teams are bullshit.
Not just that, but LeBron went to 2 more finals with Cleveland in 2017 and 2018, and once he realized, I can't win no more with these guys, he says, the hell with it, and bails on the team. And you just said it right there, Ezra. Super teams are bullshit. They are.
Kyrie Irving out of Cleveland.
All it is is a money grab. All it is basically, hey, watch this team on ABC or ESPN because LeBron, Westbrook, and Anthony Davis are going to play together. Nobody gives a shit. If your team is not
cares.
If your team is not balanced and you're not playing well, nobody's going to watch you lose. Nobody's going to watch you get blown out by 50 points when you have 3-star future Hall of Famers.
I'm going to tell you I'm a Red Sox fan without telling you I'm a Red Sox fan. Everything, the super team shit is a playbook built by the New York Yankees.
Really, we can't tell you're a Red Sox fan. I mean, it's not like your name says Bo Sox _ fan.
But no, it's like it's very similar to what the Yankees did in 2005 after the Red Sox beat them in the World Series. They go out, they buy Johnny Damon, they buy other players, and they buy everybody that kind of hurt them in the playoffs to build this super team. And then it didn't work, and they let them go, and they built this. So it's
seriously. When Miami had that super team in 2010, as soon as they got Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, when they got D-Wade to re-sign, and they recruited his buddies Bosh and LeBron to join Miami in 2010, they had Miami games all over the freaking TV screens on ESPN, ABC, TNT, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there thinking, where the hell have y'all been when it comes to Miami? Why couldn't y'all start showing more games with these guys even before the super team? Because you need money to viewers to have these games going. And I'm sorry, Miami fans from 2010 to 2014, bandwagoners, with the exception of the ones that were diehards to begin with. A lot of bandwagon fans in Miami for those 4 years. Let's go Heat. Let's go Heat. Shut up.
Well, it's like, everybody, was jumping him on this whole Zion bandwagon when he was coming out of college, and now he hasn't really done anything other than get injured.
Yeah. And then when Golden State had their super duper team from 2016 to 2018 and 2019, thank God that team is done when it comes to being a super team, because when Kevin Durant joined that team in 2016 after, well, let's face it, Golden State beat OKC and the Western Conference Finals clean and simple, and all that stuff. They won because they were the better team. Durant saw that, oh shit, Golden State's a better team. I need to join these guys because I know I can't win a championship with Russell Westbrook being the starting point guard for your basketball team. And he goes and joins Golden State and took the fun out of basketball for a lot of people, including yours truly. I mean, oh my God, just the simple fact you knew the outcome. It was going to be Golden State winning the championship.
Absolutely.
And this past finals, oh my God, it was a breath of fresh air. Seeing Milwaukee, seeing Phoenix, 2 teams that have not been in the finals. Phoenix since 93, Milwaukee since 1974.
But either team that won it was going to be the end of a 50-year drought.
It was a breath of fresh air for the finals. It made a great finals because it's 2 brand new teams, and
71.
And also it was super competitive as well, which also helped bring in viewership for the channel and for the sport itself. A couple quick news notes. This is something we discussed as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers have acquired Ricky Rubio from the Minnesota Timberwolves, a 2022 second round pick and cash consideration for forward Taurean Prince.
Tyshawn Tyshawn Prince?
No. Taurean Prince.
Okay.
Yeah. This comes after the Cleveland Cavaliers lost Matthew Dellavedova to the Melbourne United when he signed a 3-year deal with MU. Rubio is on the last season of a 3-year, $51 million contract. So, it's good to see Cleveland acquiring a good player, a good shooter, but I don't know if that's going to really help them build themselves. I think they're still missing some key players. I think that'll help bring them forward to the next level, in my opinion. Another quick news note is that Mike D'Antoni, if you guys remember him, he was a part of the coaching staff for the Brooklyn Nets. Steve Nash has announced that he has left the organization. And Steve Nash said in a statement on Wednesday, saying that having a 2-time coach of the year was invaluable in his first season as a coach. So, he puts out a great statement, thanking Mike for his work. But they already lost one assistant Brooklyn did this offseason when Ime Udoka left to become the new coach, to become the new coach of the Boston Celtics. So that's another quick little news note there on the basketball side of things. And also, we want to press, of course, right now going on or getting ready to start now is of course the NBA draft. Which
Pistons are on the clock right now.
Yeah, Pistons are on the clock right now. Of course, they're slated to take Cunningham at number 1.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham.
Yep, absolutely.
No wasting time right there.
Yep, absolutely.
No, it's the NBA draft has always been kind of a lackluster thing for me because you usually know everything that's going to happen before it actually goes down. So pretty much all the picks have pretty much already been decided on for the NBA. So it's going to be interesting to see, with these new additions, what the Lakers end up picking up now that they picked up Russell Westbrook, apparently with this trade. It's going to be interesting to see who they try to draft to add to those pieces. Because, how long has LeBron been in the league now?
This will be
he was drafted in what, 03?
Yeah.
So
right,
so this would be, I believe,
his 19th.
Yes,
he's got to be drawn to the end.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got to be. He's got to be, in my opinion. LeBron's been around, and mind you, he suffered a litany of injuries, but he still plays at such an elite level. He could play into his 20th season.
No, that's true. He
did
come out, at 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 18 when he came out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, he's not even 40 yet. So
he's not. Yeah. And he's still playing very good ball. He could still move. He could still shoot. The guy has not really lost any steps. So, I could see LeBron playing at least his 20th season before he hangs up the sneakers forever, in my opinion. Before we get into a quick score update, though, we're gonna switch over to, we on the show, we love talking sports, but we also incorporate a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of music. And this week has been a hard-hitting week for music, and I want to discuss that real quick. And we lost 3 great musicians this past week. The first one being the founding drummer for Slipknot, Joey Jordison. He passed away at the age of 46 about 2 days ago. On the very same day, we also lost Mike Howe, who was the lead singer of Metal Church. For those of you who don't know who Metal Church is, they are a band that basically helped pioneer the thrash metal movement with their album The Dark, which is considered a classic by many in the musician world. And probably the biggest loss of them all is Dusty Hill, who is the bass player and one of the founding members of ZZ Top.
Yeah.
He passed away at the age of 72. He's one, as our buddy Chad has said on Facebook, Chad from Albany, of course, is that he is one of the ZZ Top is one of the most tenured bands, actually the longest tenured band with all original members up until this point. Mm-hmm. Over 50 years, it's been the same 3 guys. And unfortunately, we lost Dusty Hill, who was not only one of the greatest musicians of all time, he was a hardcore wrestling fan, as Bully Ray has said on Busted Open earlier this morning. So it hits hard in both worlds, in the music world and in the wrestling world. And
Billy was also there,
Yeah. we here at Our Nation Sports Show, from everybody who's been a part of the show, we send our condolences to the family and friends and fellow fans of Joey Jordison, Dusty Hill, and Mike Howe.
Just
Steven, you care to spare a few words?
It's been a hard week as a musician myself. I mean, getting to check out ZZ Top live 2 years ago in 2019 in Raleigh with Cheap Trick, that was a phenomenal show. And just both bands were on fire that night. And Dusty Hill sounded so great. And the whole band was just tight, very tight. Him singing Tush, he sounded great. And, his backup vocals and all that stuff. And then, I never got to see Slipknot with Joey behind the drum kit, but man, listening to those albums that Joey was on and the live record that he did with Slipknot in 2005, 9.0 Live, I mean, Joey, man, was a hard-hitting drummer. I mean, that dude, like Jamie Josta said, the lead singer from Hatebreed and his solo band Josta and Kingdom of Sorrow, Josta said it best on Twitter. He brought the blast beat to America. He brought it to popularity. And made it cool to do blast beats. And Joey was just one of a kind. And the way he wrote his drum parts, he was so technical and very precise the way he played behind the drums.
Not only we got to mention Joey was also a great guitar player as well.
Yes, he was in the Murder Dolls.
He was in the Murder Dolls with Wednesday 13, which is a great horror punk band.
Great band
as well.
Great band.
And also we got to mention also Vimic as well, his band and Scar the Martyr. His other two bands after he left Slipknot.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, and like I said about Mike Howe, he wasn't around for Metal Church's premium years in the early 80s when they were one of the most popular bands, but he was an integral part of the band's lineup for the past 32 years.
And
so he's been a part of, I think, 3, 4, or 5 records.
Yeah, he had those 3 popular records, whatever, those 3 late records in the 80s that were very popular, and just great vocalist, man, and just, it's been a very, very rough week in the world of music. I mean, just losing those 3 great people. Like I came in from the band room Tuesday, and I was looking at my phone. I was like, I got a text message. I'm like, oh, nobody told me Joey died. I was like, what? And Anthony said that to me. I was like, Jordanson? And then and I was texting Stephen P. I was like, dude, this is insane, And he was only 46. That's what's crazy to me is Joey was a young dude. 46 is not a elderly age. And I mean, and just very young, gone way too soon, and just hell of a drummer. And just, man, I mean, just the one thing with Joey that really makes me sad even more when it comes to being a huge fan of his is the fact that even though him and Slipknot had that breakup in 2013, that it seemed like they weren't on good terms, when they broke up. And I understand, that things happen, but man, just thinking about this, that's going to be sticking with Corey Taylor and Clown and all those guys.
All of Slipknot's social media was blacked out in memory of Joey this past week. So, like I said, we send our condolences on behalf of the whole sports show team, and even the nation's corner to a point. We send our condolences to the families of Joey, Mike, and Dusty.
Yeah, because I know several of our people in the in our close group of friends. Tony, he's a huge ZZ Top fan, and
same thing with Chad from Albany as well.
Both of these guys are huge ZZ Top fans, and Deb, she's been to see ZZ Top live, and and Steve being a Slipknot fan, and us being Slipknot fans, and and Elder being a ZZ Top fan, and all that. It's very sad. It's very sad how, everything that happened this week. I'm like, man, can this month just please end already? I mean, it's been rough. It's been very rough. We send our thoughts and prayers to everybody, and their families, and we wish them through all the tough times, to cherish the ones that are still around, and to cherish the memories that these great musicians left behind, and that will live on everybody's hearts forever.
Well, that's the good thing about music is even when the person's gone, their work still remains.
Exactly.
So you can still always use it to remember the good times that they brought to you and things like that. And it's like I was thinking about when I heard about, the ZZ Top issue is like, you can go your life and not know who Slipknot is. I mean, you've heard of them, but you can go and not have heard their music. You can, there are certain bands. ZZ Top is one of those bands that perforated everything from movies to music to television. It's hard to go your entire life without hearing something from ZZ Top.
Exactly. And also, too, what's also crazy is even after Dusty's death, a couple hours later, the news came out that they're going to carry on the tradition of carrying the band's legacy on in honor of Dusty Hill's memory, because that's what Dusty wanted.
Yeah.
Dusty told Billy and told Frank, hey, when my time's up, hell yeah, keep the band going.
Plug
because
somebody
that's what
in.
Dusty wanted. Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mitch.
Well, and one of the great things that I saw, over social media was people asking, was Joey really that good of a drummer? And the only response was that overhead picture of his drum kit with all the different styles of drums and everything in a complete circle around him. And it's like, yeah, he was that good.
Was he that good of a drummer?
Yeah.
Listen to his drum solo on the live album in 2005. I mean, my God.
And here's the thing. People give, Joey probably give Joey crap because, his stuff is very chaotic. His stuff, blast beats, a lot of intricate playing, but he's got groove, he's got style, he's got feel. It's not like
I could play that.
Maybe he takes inspiration from a lot of guys, from the Peter Chris's of the world to, you go from a guy like Peter Chris who was, influenced by jazz musicians to freaking Dave Lombardo, who plays some of the most extreme music with Slayer. He was influenced by those guys. And, he has the feel of Peter Criss. He has that style, but he also plays hectic and crazy but with a groove like Dave Lombardo plays. He can play blast beats. If you listen to the song All Hope Is Gone or Disaster Pieces or whatever the case may be, I don't want to get into too long of a music discussion because this is a sports show, but those people I'm just going to say this. Those people are wrong. Joey's fucking great. Yeah. God rest him. God rest everybody who lost today.
Well, and one of the good things, if there is any such thing as a good thing out of a tragedy like this is it puts more eyes onto their body of work. So people who may not have had a chance to experience it while they were alive can go and experience it now and learn from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, their legacies will live on forever. Quick score update before we get into, we're going to get into a couple of quick things. I know, we're waiting. I know possibly we could have our very own hijacker Mike on later. We will see. But we are going to get into baseball talk in a second, but I actually want to go over some score updates real quick. Right now, the Blue Jays and the Red Sox are playing. It's the middle of the third inning. Blue Jays over the Red Sox 4-0 at this point. Sorry.
Had to start with that one, didn't we?
That's the first one on the list. You can't blame me for that one. Damn you, ESPN, for getting me in trouble already with this guy. I've only worked with him once.
You're all right.
The Braves beat the Mets earlier today, 6-3. The Rays beat the Yankees 14-0, including 10 runs in the sixth. Holy shit. The Reds beat the Cubs 7-4. Phillies beat the Nationals in 8 innings as part of a doubleheader, 11-8. The Giants beat the Dodgers 5-0, and then the final game of the evening will be the Oakland A's, hijacker's favorite team, versus the LA Angels, and that'll happen at 9:38 Eastern time. Catch it wherever you can catch it in your local area. All right, let's get into some quick. Well, actually, we're gonna get into some MMA news. Actually, we're gonna take a break from the normal sports, and we're gonna go into mixed martial arts and the unfortunate news that broke today. Not really unfortunate in a sense of it's not a tragedy, but Amanda Nunes, who was scheduled to fight coming up, they announced that she unfortunately has tested positive for COVID-19. She was set to defend her title at UFC 265 against Juliana Pena. Now that is officially called off. This is a big blow to that card, which UFC 265 is a very strong card from start to finish. If you take a look at the fight card, you've got Derek Lewis versus Cyril Gane. You got Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz, Michael Chiesa versus Vicente Luque, and Casey Kenny versus Song Yadong. Funny name. But that's just the main card on this, and unfortunately it's a huge blow to this card up. And we hope that Amanda gets well soon, gets back, and hopefully we get this fight rescheduled as soon as possible. I know that for a fact.
Yeah,
that's going to be a banger.
They're saying that there's no timeline for a reschedule, and they haven't announced who they're going to put in to replace to kind of fill that slot either.
Yeah,
because that was your co-main event.
Yeah, that was your co-main event. That was a huge fight, and fortunately now that's off the books due to the ongoing pandemic. But once again, we wish the best for Amanda Nunes. Make a speedy recovery and get back to whooping ass like you always do. Go get a double champion. One other couple other quick things is was that there was a couple right here from UFC on ESPN 27 the other night, which featured the main event, a controversial main event, split decision victory for TJ Dillashaw over Corey Sandhagen. Of course, my boy Darren Elkins won by TKO. Local Portage boy, go get it, Darren. He's currently going to be serving a 180-day medical suspension for all the cuts and bruises and possible injuries he sustained. Actually, he's serving that because he has suffered a displaced bucket handle tear of his lateral meniscus and an LCL tear in his hard-fought split decision win over Corey, and he is expected to undergo surgery. So
he didn't win that fight.
I will say this much. I did watch that whole fight card last week, and that was one hell of a card. Like I said, of course, I'm partial to Darren Elkins. He's our local boy here. He's back after a four-fight losing streak, now back in the winning column for Team Alpha Male. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to TJ Dillashaw, even though he didn't win that fight. I agree with Mitch here. And yes, I keep saying Mitch, and I will say this again. No, he is not a potted plant. But Holly, and another big news, Holly Holm will be returning to the featherweight division.
Nice.
She will be facing Norma Dumont at UFC Fight Night on October 16th. It doesn't have a location or venue announced yet, but that's the first fight that's been announced for this card. Holly Holm, of course, she's one of the most legitimate badasses in the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
But, of course, now with Miesha Tate back in the featherweight division as well and kicking ass, coming back out of retirement, will this eventually lead, if both ladies stay on winning streaks, will this lead to a possible rematch?
Dude, sign me up. Miesha Tate, Holly Holm, sign me up. That will be epic.
Let me say this. Sign me up now with Miesha Tate and her improved striking. Like beforehand, I think Holly Holmes had the advantage because she came from that boxing background.
Right.
But Miesha Tate, man, those jabs, whoo, she was lighting people up.
Yeah, you could tell she made strides in her boxing improvements since she left UFC 5 years ago. And she's really starting to really put everything together. And sometimes it takes that. And, you know, we're all fans of Miesha Tate. We love her. She's an awesome fighter, great person. You know, we hear all the time on MMA Tonight all the time. And she's really, really great. Wish her all the best. One of the other things, unfortunately, is that Chris Weidman revealed that the bones in his leg are not healing correctly after the broken leg that he suffered. But also, what comes with this is that another surgery is going to have to be required. But the problem is, here's the problem I have with this. Shortly after he had that surgery, he was walking on it, A. And B, he was back to throwing strikes. You're back doing some sort of MMA activity. You shouldn't be.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is he even said that he expected setbacks. You know, and the thing about it is Weidman has that mentality of go, go, go. Don't sit and wait. He wanted to push it as fast as he could and try to get the recovery process back. But the thing about it is he could have done everything right and stayed off of it, and it still screwed up on him. So, as long as he's, keeping his head up about it, I do find it interesting that Uriah Hall is headlining a pay-per-view this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, is he going to take somebody else's leg this time? Or, have we checked him for like a steel rod to see what happened?
I know, man. It's unfortunate, man. It's and Uriah Hall, man, that dude. I remember when he first jumped on the fight, when he first jumped at UFC. I remember he was this reserve guy who came in there, and then all of a sudden we found out he was a complete killer and that he was an absolute hell of a fighter.
Well, that's like the injury that Connor just had. He made the announcement that they put a titanium rod in his leg. How's that going to affect with him being able to be kicking people now?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question.
Is he now not allowed to kick people with that leg?
I mean, yes, it's a steel plate in there, yeah, but yeah, you're right. Is that going to have a not an unfair advantage would be, but is it going to give him an advantage regardless because there's that extra reinforcement?
Right. So,
and also, if he kicks with that plate, that could cause some severe damage.
I mean, everybody remember this? The old Luger controversy.
Yes. I remember that when that whole thing went down. Yeah. I was watching that fight when it happened on pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
A couple quick other notes before we get into baseball talk. Colby Covington has once again opened his big fat mouth, as he's done because he wants to be the next pro wrestling MMA fighter. Is that he's accusing Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, of PED usage. This is his quote. This is his quote right here. He's been doing EPO his whole career. It's so obvious. The chemical imbalance, his body, he's got the pimples all over his back, all over his face. You're a 35-year-old man. He called him Marty Juiceman. He said they could verify that he has done EPO and he's injected in his ass. So he's the CEO of EPO.
He has taken a straight page out of the Conor McGregor playbook.
Absolutely. He's riling the fans up to try and get them to buy this pay-per-view. He's also riling Usman up so he can slip up and make a mistake that Colby can capitalize on it. Because you know as well as I do, when you fight with anger, you're prone to making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving yourself wide open for a punch or a kick, any sort of shot by swinging wildly, fighting with anger, because you don't have that same focus. But as far as that goes, I really don't have anything else as far as the MMA. But of course, last week we talked about the announcement of Oscar De La Hoya, Vitor Belfort.
Yep.
Have you heard the newest announcement of court about the Vitor Belfort thing?
Oh boy.
Oh God.
Okay. He's already in talks beyond the De La Hoya fight with a series of fights for Triller to culminate against Evander Holyfield. And one of the fights, he also wants to be against Anderson Silva.
If it's going to be against Anderson Silva, you might as well just get Dana White to sign off the fight and bring him back to the UFC.
Dana White won't put Anderson Silva back in the cage.
Oh, I know he won't because he's too much of a health risk.
You might as well because they're two MMA fighters. I mean, what the hell?
Well, no, I want to, but the thing is I don't think any athletic commission would clear them for a MMA license.
Yeah. But you guys are talking about Covington. He keeps on talking like this. He's a phony. He's trying to be like McGregor and he's not. And also if this fight does happen, and he goes for that wild punch and misses, like you said, as we're fighting with anger, that can leave you to a wide open knockout.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Quick update: Hijacker will not be joining us tonight. He's out and about in Seattle, and he will be joining us next week.
Oh yes, I forgot about that.
So he'll be joining us next week.
That's great. That's awesome. So
But along the vein of these crazy celebrity fights, I mean, the one we found out about earlier, former heavyweight champion Riddick Bowe has agreed to fight ex-NBA star Lamar Odom.
Or how about Jake Paul opening his big fat trap once again? It's saying that he wants Canelo Alvarez. You're talking about the greatest pound per pound fighter on the planet right now. Greatest pound for pound boxer on the planet. You want to face him. Get the fuck out of here.
And Jake Paul is fixing to fight Tyrone Woodley.
I'm sick and tired.
No offense, but I hope Woodley knocks his ass out.
I am sick and tired of these celebrities wanting to fight these professionally trained fighters.
Well, here's my thing is, all right, Jake Paul wants to be taken as a serious boxer. That's why he signed with Showtime, right? Then go and start fighting on the lower cards of these actual real boxing events against other boxers instead of aging MMA stars and, celebrities and stuff like that. Go fight real boxers and work your way up like a boxer should.
This is why we cannot take boxing serious anymore.
Exactly.
Because of these people that want to make that dollar bill, y'all. Yes, a Wu-Tang reference right here. But this is ridiculous. I mean, both brothers are being a bunch of pompous assholes. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, you're asking for trouble because by fighting a guy that hasn't fought, mind you, since 2008, just because he hasn't fought since 2008 doesn't mean he can't knock his ass out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100.
I thought we were going to get it. Well, at first I plan on getting into baseball, but we got to get into some NHL news because there have been some trades and some signings that have come up over this past week, including this big one right here. And that is that Alex Ovechkin has signed a brand new 5-year contract extension to stay with the Washington Capitals. Because he even said he is currently on site to break set sights on Wayne Gretzky's NHL record of 894 goals in his career.
Best of luck to him.
Yeah.
Take every record away from Gretzky you can.
It doesn't say in the report how much he will be making.
47.5.
47.5 mil over 5 years?
Yep.
Okay.
And he said that will finish his career.
To me, Ovechkin is one of the best players. I mean, seriously, that dude has done so much good stuff for the Capitals. He's been one of their mainstays. He's a great leader. He's done what he's. To me, I'm not a big Capitals fan, as you know. I'm a Blackhawks fan. I'm from the Chicagoland area, but I respect Ovechkin and what he's done for the game and what he's done for the Capitals organization and how good of a player he truly is. Another signing is former Chicago Blackhawk and Colorado Avalanche player Brandon Saad, and that he has signed a 5-year, $22.5 million deal to join the St. Louis Blues. Saad, of course, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion with the Blackhawks in 2013 and 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got a very physical style, pound you up against the boards, really hit you hard wherever he can. He's a great defensive player, so I think he's going to add some real depth to St. Louis Blues, who I think, while they're a good team, that they need some more defensive players to help out to help get them to dance like they want to.
Right.
Another quick NHL note. I believe we got another quick NHL note, if I'm reading this right. Actually, yes, and that is that, as you said, we talked about this earlier, a man who, Corey Perry, as many of you know, he played with the Montreal Canadiens last season.
Oh.
Montreal Canadiens lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Played with the Dallas Stars the year before that.
The Dallas Stars the year before that.
And who'd they lose to in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Oh, Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And now Corey Perry has signed a 2-year, $2 million contract to
With
go
who?
to
With who?
Tampa Bay.
And what's that saying? If you can't beat them,
Join him.
That's right.
I guess after
Oh
getting his
my
ass
God.
whooped like he did for those 2 years.
Oh my God,
He's
I'm
like,
so sick and tired getting my ass beat by Tampa Bay, the best team in the NHL right now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to join my enemies. Oh, dear God. This reminds me of Kevin Durant all over again. Give me a freaking break. Stop it. Michael Jordan did not join the Detroit Pistons when he was getting the shit beat out of him all of those years in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Can you imagine if Jordan had left Chicago to join the Celtics or the Lakers or anybody?
or the Pistons?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I mean, it would have
God.
put him with Rodman a little bit sooner.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant did not leave the Los Angeles Lakers when the Lakers were struggling after Shaq left. He stayed with the freaking team.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Ugh. I just want to pull all my hair out and get my short hair back, damn it.
The thing about it is I mean, you got to look at it, though. If you want to win a title, you go to where they're winning titles.
What a crock of shit. This is ridiculous.
Please don't pull your hair out and go back to short hair. The last thing we need you to do is go from looking like a broke Dave Grohl to looking like a broke Chris Cornell.
Yeah, it was a 2-year, $2 million contract that he signed.
Yep.
And the general manager of the Lightning, they announced that they did lose forward Barclay Goodrow and Blake Coleman and defenseman David Sarvard to free agency and center Yanni Gourde in the expansion draft. So by signing Perry and then Pierre-Edouard Bellemare and Zach Bogosian, that's to hope to rebolster that toughness that they lost.
Oh, my God.
Oh, we have some breaking news here, and that is that a ring was just found inside a Cowboy stadium. No, it wasn't a championship ring. It was somebody's engagement ring they lost last season.
Well, there was a comment made earlier. Somebody wanted to go back and watch the last championship that was Dallas had, but they don't own a VCR anymore.
Ow.
Ow. That was what, 25 years ago when the Cowboys won their last Super Bowl?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Oh my God.
That is a rough one, man.
The enemy of my enemies is my friend.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. Can't be enjoying it.
Oh my God.
Best of luck to Corey Perry. That's all I'll say, man.
Dude, I hope to God they don't win next year.
But let's move forward. Let's get into some baseball talking. Man, it is getting interesting today. The biggest news of the day so far is that the Yankees are finalizing a deal to acquire Cubs first baseman Anthony Rizzo. And this is, of course, the Rizzo trade talks. Me being a Chicago guy, even though I am a White Sox fan, I have been keeping up with everything related Chicago-related sports, and that is something that has been talked about since last season is trades for Rizzo and Chris Bryant. Something interesting that happened was that Bryant and Rizzo were not in the starting lineup. I believe it was either today or yesterday.
Okay.
As these trade talks were going on.
The manager did say, however, both were able to pinch hit. It had nothing to do with the trade deadline. It was just it happened to work out that way because this is their last home game before the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, the Cubs unfortunately have not been playing great this season. I know they're probably going to be looking to make some vast improvements after losing a couple of key players over the past couple of years. Whether it be, even though he was in a slump for a little bit, Kyle Schwarber moving on, and Cubs even getting Jock Peterson and trading him away. Mm-hmm. Now it's interesting. It almost seems like the Cubs are going to start going into almost like a rebuilding mode again after the championship win in 2016. They've come close a couple of years ago, but ever since then it's been kind of a downhill slide for the Cubs. We know that Chris Bryant is also being talked about being traded as well. We'll see how that develops. I want to get you guys' opinion on Rizzo if he does join the Yankees, and how much of an improvement would it be for the Yankees organization to bring in a very reliable first baseman like Rizzo?
It's not going to help.
No, not gonna.
Yeah,
Not gonna
I agree because, well, Yankees suck, and also they're too far.
Well, and
also,
they did get destroyed 14-0. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's not just that. It's that whole culture in New York is not what it used to be.
Nope.
I mean, It used to be you go into Yankee Stadium and like you had a little bit of not necessarily a fear, but there was a sense of awe. And now they're just getting blown out left and right again. It's like there was a commentator that literally said that the Red Sox own the Yankees now. And I mean,
literally?
Well, not like literally, but they're whooping their ass left and right. I mean, it's like, Tampa Bay 14-0 over the Yankees. I mean, it's no longer it's the Yankees and who for the AL East. It's all right, who's leading the AL East? It's a crapshoot every year between 2 or 3, maybe 4 powerhouse teams in that division. So I think the Yankees have kind of lost that edge that they had.
Yeah, it seems that way with them, especially dropping early games this season to big losses, which we saw for the AL East, and seeing how the division is playing out. Like you said, it's a crapshoot.
I think the big problem in New York is they don't have that leader that they used to have in Jeter. Nobody has taken that role on. Aaron Judge was kind of the heir apparent, and I don't think he's kind of been able to fill that role. And I think they're just a ship without a captain right now, and that's the big issue for the Yankees. Once they get that captain slot, locked down, and they got a true leader again, I think they'll be back being a perennial contender. I just don't think they have that direction that they need anymore in the player base.
You're right. They need a leader to help lead that team and really just kind of coach them up and get them out of these bad situations. Yeah. They need somebody who's gonna be there, especially when they're in these big losses that could be like, all right, yeah, okay, we lost this big game, but let's get out there, let's practice some more, let's improve. It's a similar thing with the Aaron Rodgers situation when you don't have a captain that's out there that's reliable, or you don't have anybody to lead the team. You suffer these big losses. Yankees, unfortunately, have been in the downhill slide the past couple of years, and it's really shown, especially this season with all these big double-point blowout losses, losing, 20-1 or 14-0. It's really showing that the Yankees really need to make some steady improvements, and they need to make them quick, because otherwise there's going to be some big changes, and not just on the player side of things, but also in the organization itself. I mean, there is already a new organization if you count A-Rod getting a minority stake until 2023 when he controls the team, but that's a whole different discussion.
Did you see the trade that the White Sox made today?
No, I did not.
They acquired second baseman Cesar Hernandez from the Cleveland Guardians for Double-A left-hander Connor Pilkington. Later, the White Sox acquired right-handed reliever Ryan Tepera from the crosstown rival Chicago Cubs, and in exchange for Class A left-hander Bailey Horn. Okay. So, Hernandez, who's hitting 231, 307, 431 with 18 homers in his second year with the Guardians, and they were trailing the White Sox by 8.5 games. So, he's excited, to go to a first place team.
Absolutely. And to me, that's a shocking thing. Being a White Sox fan, I did not expect them to play. I mean, they played great last year. Now that they got Mercedes back, now that he's back and healthy and everything, and now that Lance Lynn's playing like an absolute monster on the mound. He's done great. Of course, Jose Abreu being who he is, being such a great power hitter, and you've got so many great other key components to that team. They're the team that shocked the hell out of me this season. I did not expect I've dealt with the team not being good since the 2005 World Series.
They got the biggest lead of any first place team right now with 8 games.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. In the entire right now, in the entire league right now, or in the entire AL, in the entire American League, they're only 3 games behind Houston right now.
They're 3 games behind Houston and Boston. Houston and
Yep,
Boston are both at 63 and 40, and the White Sox are at 60 and 43.
Yeah.
So.
It's insane to think about it. And Oakland is behind by 6 games. Sorry, hijacker. The last thing you want to do is make fun of hijacker and his Oakland A's because he's a diehard for sure. But it's gonna be interesting to see to me, I think that while the AL East has been a crapshoot, I think this whole baseball season in general has been very exciting because there's been a lot of lead shifts and changes, and Houston leading the division, San Francisco not that far behind, and it's really, 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 it's shocking to me how this season has played out in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
It's been exciting to say the least, and unfortunately, I don't get to catch many games because of my job being working midnights. But I do catch games when I do, and it's gotten more exciting to watch over the years. It's been more competitive. But another trade note. This one's big too. Is that the Dodgers are making significant progress on a deal that would send Max Scherzer and Trey Turner from the Nationals for a return with a bunch of prospects.
Is that the Dodgers?
Yep.
Because I know they just acquired left-hander Duffy from the Royals, so I'm wondering if that's part of that trade.
Right now it says right here that it says let's see, it doesn't give any details on who they would actually be sending because the deals are not finalized yet.
Yeah,
but it will be a bunch of prospects they will be sending in place to get Trey Turner and Max Scherzer to the Dodgers. So Dodgers are making some key moves today.
Yeah, the Nationals are kind of just waving the white flag on this season,
are.
it looks like.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. The Seattle Mariners got Diego Castillo, from Tampa Bay for TG Chargois and prospect Austin Shenton.
Well, the Mariners just lost a pitcher for 80 games.
Yeah.
Santiago, he was using more than the sticky stuff. He had a positive test for external testosterone. Exactly 1 month after he was banned for 10 games when he became the first player penalized under the sports crackdown on grip-enhancing substances.
Yep.
So
we talked about that a few weeks ago, actually, Mitch, and we talked about the usage of the sticky substance known as spider tack, which is banned by Major League Baseball.
Well, now this drug suspension is going to cost him half of his $700,000 salary.
Oh man.
So.
Oh my God. Yeah, and also, and you talk about the Nationals waving the white flag. They also lost Brad Hand to the Toronto Blue Jays as well. So trades galore going on right now, man. It's absolute insanity to think about.
Sure is.
Oh yeah, right here. Cleveland Indians manager Terry Francona has
Guardians, sir. The Guardians.
I'm offended. I'm kidding.
You'll get over it.
Bullshit.
Don't let it be your monkey wrench, David Grohl. Cleveland Guardians.
See, this is what happens when this cancel cultural bullshit happens, because we're so used to saying names that are ingrained in our brains for 25 plus years or however long we've been existing. This team has existed as long as it has. And now we're offended as a society. Oh, the Cleveland Indians.
Well, I mean, you knew it was coming with Washington football team.
I know. But this cancel cultural society can just suck it.
Well, I mean, all right, so how long is it going to be before, the Florida State Seminoles?
It's coming.
Are they going to be okay because they're an actual name of a tribe?
That's a really, really good question.
Or the Chiefs? Is Kansas City on the chopping block next?
Wouldn't surprise me. Anyways, go ahead, Ezra.
It's interesting to think about that. But yeah, the Cleveland Guardians' Terry Francona is stepping down for the rest of the season because of health issues. He says he'll be undergoing toe surgery for a he underwent toe surgery for a staph infection in February. He's also dealing with a hip problem, which will also require surgery as well. So, this is the second year in a row that Francona has been sidelined because of his health. He managed just 14 games in 2020 because of a serious gastrointestinal issue that landed him in the Cleveland Clinic for weeks.
Oof.
So we wish Terry Francona all the best, and hopefully he gets healthy and gets back to his team sooner rather than later.
Did anybody see this about Curt Schilling?
No.
He sent a letter to the Hall of Fame requesting to be removed from the 2022 ballot.
Wow.
He said, I will not participate in the final year of voting. I am requesting to be removed from the ballot. I will defer to the Veterans Committee and men whose opinions actually matter and who are in a position to actually judge a player. I do not think that I am a Hall of Famer, as I've often stated, but if former players think I am, then I will accept that with honor.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
That's kind of interesting. The fact that he doesn't feel he deserves it, and he's just deferring to letting other people decide.
Yeah, well, the Baseball Hall of Fame has announced that they have denied his removal request.
Yeah, they denied it.
Yep. So, this is crazy to think about that. He feels it's kind of similar situation with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep.
That people, especially on the voting committee, guys like Tom Morello, who don't believe that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is doing, the rock stars justice because they're voting in rappers and hip hop artists, and instead of bringing in guys who actually influence the genre. And that's something that's been preached about. We'll talk about this off air, about the whole Kansas situation after losing one of their members this past season, and Kansas not being in the Hall of Fame. Guarantee you next year they'll be on the ballot. So
right, and a founding member.
To me, these Hall of Fames, all these things, unless they're actually voted in by former players and voted in a right system and not just a popularity contest, it's all a bunch of garbage.
All a bunch of garbage, absolutely. I mean, there's bands that should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't even in the Hall of Fame, like an Iron Maiden, like a Judas Priest. Absolutely.
But I mean, Curt Schilling has the right to voice his opinion. He can say what he wants, and if he wanted to be, if he doesn't want to vote, he doesn't want to vote. But hey, the Hall of Fame has got the last right. You're the one who joined the voting committee.
Well, it's like he said. I like the fact that he's just saying, I don't feel I deserve to be here. But if the other players feel I do, then I will accept it with honor. He's just kind of taking himself to where he's like, I don't feel like I should be sitting there tooting my own horn.
Right.
Yeah. He feels like he wants to take a back seat to the people that actually deserve to be in that voting committee.
Right. Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and I completely 1,000% get that. He believes that there's guys out there, whether it be a Frank Thomas, whether it be a Barry Bonds, out there. Guys who are legendary, even if players are still around, whether it be, it don't matter who it is. It could be Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, players who are elite. If he feels like that those guys are ahead of him, then he feels like, hey, they should be on the voting committee instead of me. And I could 1,000% agree with that decision, because it's like people who, it's like players who say, hey, I want to, I'm going to defer this down to this guy because he knows this play better than I do.
Exactly.
Or I defer this play in basketball because this guy knows this certain style of play better than I do,
Right.
If you're a big guy, you're not going to run a pick and roll. Or if you're a pure wide receiver, you're not going to play running back.
Nope. No, exactly.
So I mean, it just depends. But we're gonna close out the show here in just a few minutes. So I would like to first get some final thoughts from all of y'all. Steven, you first, buddy.
Man, what a phenomenal show tonight with you guys. Mitch, thanks for coming in and helping us out tonight. And talking sports with you guys. And next week we have a big start of the month of August, because starting next week we have our previews for the upcoming 2021 NFL regular season. Because next week we start with the NFC, and we do the NFC North and the NFC South. So it's going to be a fun month of August previewing this year's season. Football's back, baby. Let's go.
Absolutely. I'm excited for the football season coming up, and I can't wait to talk that next week as we get closer to the beginning of the preseason and the start of this season. Mitch, final thoughts from you before we close it out?
I'm very excited, for Steven said, for football season to start getting ready to kick off. Training camps are going right now, so you're going to start to see teams start to take shape as we get ready to start preseason. And on top of that, we got baseball making that final push to October. These last couple months of August and September are going to be when teams are making that real push, and you're going to see that playoff picture starting to take shape. And throw on top of that, we got tons of great fights coming from MMA and boxing as alike, so it's just a great time to be a sports fan right now. Fans are coming back. Hopefully, things kind of keep going, in the direction we want them to, and the fans can continue to be back. So, that's the exciting thing for me, is seeing those crowd reactions. Like, you take a season like Shohei Ohtani's having in Anaheim, you take the fans out of that, and it's not as exciting. Watching the fans get excited every time he hits another one out, and that just makes it that much more, awesome for everybody involved. And it makes it better for the players too. The players they feel that energy that we give them. So, I think it's a great time to be a sports fan. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. We thank everybody. Absolutely. We thank everybody who's watching right now. We thank you guys. Cole 2K out there, of course, Sean, New Orleans, who was in the YouTube chat. We thank you guys. Sorry we couldn't get to everybody's comments. There was just so much to get to tonight. It was just a lot. But next week we're going to be definitely talking some football, and I know we have a lot of football fans out there, and we want your guys' input definitely next week when we're discussing the NFC North and the NFC South. And I know that there's a certain guy, I think from a little town in the South, who may want to say something about that on the show next week. I believe his name starts with an S, and he's from a town that is it's a big easy, shall we say?
Yeah.
Wait, if you're talking about NFC South, you got to remember my Buccaneers are in that division.
Yup. It's going to be very interesting next week.
Absolutely. And can't wait to talk that with you all, but we're going to head out for the evening. So for Steven, for Mitch, and for all of the crew here, I am Ezra Vickery, and we will see you all next week for an NFL-led edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody, and have a great night.